So this thing just fell over on me. What do you think, Maisie? I just made a ton of work for myself. All the machinists out there rolling their eyes. Awesome having that ready. It may be a bit odd, but this is one of my favorite pieces of machinery that I own. And it really boils down to I move a lot of big, heavy stuff, and it's not always on flat ground. This is a Clark, Michigan 35 AWS Forklift. Now, very few or very little information is out there about them. Most of what I see is the wheel loader version, where it actually has an arm with a bucket on it, not the actual forklift with a forklift mast on the front. This was not a creation in somebody's backyard. This was actually produced by Clark on a Michigan platform. I don't know. At the end of the day, I love this machine. I wasn't looking for one when I got it, but man, it has become invaluable. But right now, we're at a point where some stuff might break, and I don't want it to. Some stuff's already broken. I just don't want it to get worse. So let's take a look at the mast. We're actually going to do some work to the mast itself, and I'll show you what's wrong with it, and we'll go from there. Here's what I'm dealing with. So the mast itself it's got 4 bearings on this middle section. One's here, one's there, one's there, one's there. Problem is that there's still a bearing in there. That one has gone completely Wi-Fi. This one has grenaded itself. And so what's happening is the mast is kicked like this. So as it comes up and down, see those marks? It's rubbing on the side. And what happened a while back, and I think I've got some footage of it, I'll show it to you. We literally had to torch out the bearing to be able to get this thing to move up and down. The bearing from up here, a piece of it is right in there, and it keeps jamming in there. So I'm gonna reach in with the torch and try and get that cut so I can pull it out. I got the remaining parts of the bearing cage. Now hopefully this will just spin out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. There's only one lift chain. So this lift chain, being the only one, is putting way more pressure on this side. And so it's literally lifting only from this side. And so that destroyed that bearing. And then because it put pressure only on this corner, It literally kicked it at an angle and destroyed the two opposite bearings. Now, I don't think these two bearings are all that great, but what I think we're going to do, we're going to get it started. We're going to undo the chain down here, and that should allow us to lift the mast up and out of the way, and then we can work on the actual forklift itself, the actual forks. So we need to do that. We need to add another chain. There is a missing roller right there. It's parts of it are there, but the actual part that has the little lip, there's like a little edge here that retains this chain and keeps it in its place, is missing. So there's still the actual, I guess, body of that roller is sitting right there. So another major problem is the way in which this cylinder sits into the mast. I don't know if this cylinder is original to this mast or if it's a retrofit. Not totally sure, but the cylinder itself should fill this gap. It should sit down in this circle. But if you look right here, right along this pipe is I think it's a return, I guess that would be the supply line actually. So yeah, that is the supply line bringing hydraulic fluid to the bottom of this cylinder. There is a ton of weld just like puddled around this spot. So clearly it broke, had a leak, whatever, and maybe because they had all that weld, they couldn't fit this cylinder into its spot right, would be my guess. I am not totally sure. So my plan is to try and get this thing to sit in there. We'll see. At the end of the day, right now, I want to focus on getting this thing to lift and not destroy the bearings. I want to focus on adding a lift chain. And if we can get it straight, because it really should be kind of twisted like this, because this hole here and this hole here should be even vertically so that they're both pulling up at the same, you know, in the same place within that space. And right now, this one is a little bit more forward and this one is a little bit more back, and that is absolutely due to where that placement of that supply line is down there. And so it leads me to believe that this is not the original cylinder to this machine. It also looks like another evidence of that is, you see that little block of metal? It totally different color, newer hardware on that side and newer hardware on that side, which kind of leads me to believe that this cylinder was an afterthought or a repair to this mast for whatever reason. Maybe the cylinder that was on it grenaded and this was just one they had laying around or one they found that would work. I'm not overly concerned about that. I am trying to get this to work right. This is how I got it though. You know, I mean, it has been a valuable tool as it is. And even if we don't do this, it's still lifting stuff. That's why I love this machine. It's so stinking reliable. It is a beast. It can lift a ton. And if I can get it to lift properly, it will be a lot less sketchy lifting the kind of things that we're going to lift with it. So let's focus on getting that pin out right here. Get that chain off, and we'll lift the mast up and off the forks. There we go. There's our bottom of the chain anyway. there we have it. So let's see how that bearing is literally just the inner race where the ball bearings ride. That one, wow, look. Oh, it just came right off. That's awesome. This one is one of the ones I had to torch off. But this guy came right off. Now, these bearings are so much better than no bearing. Any bearing is better than no bearing. So let's I was gonna say let's try and get all these off, but wow, does that one come off? It does. Wow. Okay. I guess we don't have to try real hard to get this stuff off. Might have to get a hammer for that little washer, but look at that. Even this washer's gonna come right off. And we'll get it off, but all right. Here's the parts I've been accumulating. It has a bunch of these small hydraulic lines. Already blew a couple of them. Got some bearings. Some more bearings. Got a used chain that I think will work. Little drop piece. Looks like I got a key switch. Real basic one. Some other parts for that actual chain piece. And I got some filters in here for oil and fuel. But we'll mess with those later. That's that later. Need any of this. Upper roller that has the lips on it. Got a few different size bearings. We'll just have to see what we've got that works. Safety squints. we go. I took the two good bearings and I put them on the top. They are loose. And what I was thinking about doing is drilling and tapping this center hole here and making a washer that will sit in there and basically hold that center section so that it is captured. All of these are basically just barely able to stay on there. I think for now I'm not going to mess with it. We're literally going to put them in there like that. These rails do capture it. They keep it from, you know, coming off, assuming it doesn't destroy itself. And I think the only reason it destroyed itself is for whatever reason this thing has been missing the other lift chain. And so because it was lifting kind of at an angle, it was able to destroy the opposite bearings. And I'll bet you if that chain had been there, nothing would have had happened. So what we're doing is we're just putting everything back to the way it was. Well, we're putting back to the way I'm going to put it. But we've got rollers. These bottom rollers are not identical, but they're close enough. They fit on the actual part there. They are mast centering rollers. I don't know. For now, I don't want to spend $1,500 on this. I had these bearings, and then I've got this chain. This chain actually fits that that upper roller really well as far as width-wise goes. So this will be able to drop down in and bolt right there, and then it'll loop up and around and come back down, and we'll have to figure out how to make some sort of a bottom piece similar to this one for the chain that I have. I don't have another bottom piece, but I mean, this is not complicated. So I'm working on this upper roller. It is not the same, and has this basically like recess in here on both sides. So I took off the piece that was the inside of the old one, and what I've done is I cut off the outside edges. I could have taken this home on the lathe and made it perfect, but I really don't care right now. This thing fits. It is a little bit loose. I know that's all kinds of sloppy, but for right now, I have one of these, and I just want to make this better than it was. I'm not trying to go for perfect. This upper roller is like $300. So the lower rollers there on that forklift mast, it are somewhere in the range of $250 a piece. And so I'm gonna go with what I've got. So what I've done is I made a spacer out of the old piece. So one of them is gonna go on the inside like this, and the other one's gonna go on the outside. And basically I'm gonna make it so that I can pop that snap ring in right here on the outside, and then this roller will be there captured like this, and then this will go in there something like that, and then basically we'll have an upper roller. And I'm going to keep my eyes out for another, you know, mast or some other parts for this, but for now that's what we're going to go with. I got to grind a little bit more off of this to get it so I can get that snap ring in. I don't think it's in there. That eliminated a lot of side-to-side play. And honestly, it rolls really, really well, so sounds better than the old one. The old one sounds like it's a bit growly. But we're gonna run it. All right, let's get that chain. This chain is a bit more well lubricated than the other one that's on this thing. Just ask my hands. I don't know if I need the nut on top. I don't think I do. I think I want both of them on the bottom for jam nut. Trying to keep my hands clean. It never seems to work with me. I wash them a million times and I always forget to put gloves on. I know how toxic this is, but I just like working on old junk. Take this, slip it in the hole. It's actually contacting that first link. And again, that shouldn't matter actually, because it's going to pull upward. So once it's tight, the weight's going to be pushing against here. I'm going to see if I can find a washer that we can put in there to help keep everything flat. Little spacer, you know, thick washer. And I don't know exactly how much where I need to be. Hoping I have enough chain. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be about where I need to be. After I tighten it, it'll bring me up about that far. It's almost like perfect. You see, this is the reason that like I salvage stuff, because either one, I know that that part's expensive or valuable, or two, I think to myself, when am I gonna be able to find one of those for such a cheap price? And so I'll take a machine apart, I'll get all kinds of parts off it, and I'll spend time sorting them and organizing them, and it has paid dividends for all the projects that I do. I mean, like I was saying earlier, if I had bought new upper rollers, they're both probably needing all these bearings. We're talking like $1,200 in just that, plus a new chain, plus a new whatever this thing is, plus the piece that we're going to make down here. I mean, we might be $2,000 in a machine worth $1,000. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but then again, I love this machine. It's awesome. It's extremely useful. But it wouldn't be Salvage Workshop if we were just spending money and blowing money. Hoping I can get this up far enough that I can put both nuts on and tighten them together like a jam nut. I think I'll be good. We'll find out. All right, this morning I want to work on this. So I need to make a bottom piece for this new chain that is similar in dimensions to this, other than the chain size. So other than the gaps between these. So there's 2 cotter pins, one on each side. I'll pull those off, pull this out, and see if we can fabricate something like it. right, so this is what we're looking for. So we basically need it has to have a hole that size, has to be this thick and this wide, so it can drop into a little spot on the actual forks and be able to be made to fit. So the only problem is that this is a little bit off for the chain we have. So I went to my other shop and I dug through and kind of looked for stuff that already had holes in it or was about the right size that I thought. That looks close. Yeah, that's the same height. That's a little thinner, but that hole looks right. You know, I've got stuff that's like got notches in it. Bigger chunks that if I had to take it to the mill, I could use that. So I'm kind of leaning toward this guy or this guy. Almost this one because of the hole size. And it is almost exactly the same width too. So that would mean all I have to do is cut it here, round it, and then cut some slots in it. Beautiful. Check out how smooth that cut is. For a tiny little baby bandsaw, did a pretty good job. There's what we got so far. Check out this little anvil I found recently. It's made in Sweden. Let's restore it. There we go. That's what we need. I needed the intersection of that to be hanging out. Didn't use these because whenever this was salvaged, it was just chopped there. This will work out good for us. Now we can figure out where we need a notch for that piece. We're set up here in the mill. This is what we got to remove, those two silver sections. Alright, here's our part. Basically, it's going to go like that. Now, we have to figure out where our pin is going to be. So now I need to drill a hole right through here. Boom! There's our part. I'm going to clean it up, smooth some things out, make it look a little nicer, and we're find a pin for it. We'll go put it in. Alright, let's see if we can find a pin. Got a bunch in here. That one goes right in. It's even long. That's how we want it, to put a cotter pin on each side. My only worry though, a lot of these pins are hardened. I know they are. I've tried to drill them before. We'll take that one. It fits. I want it loose enough that it comes out, but I want it tight enough that it doesn't rattle. Or doesn't, you know, that's like perfect. Let's see what else we've got. Whoa! That's like just too big. What's this? That fits perfect. Same fitment, and I'm pretty sure this is not hardened. So let's take that. That might not be hardened. I think it's just slightly dirty. We'll take that piece. I think I'm going to leave this hardened one. I know it fits so beautifully, but experience has told me that this is a pain to drill. Take these two, we'll make one out. All right, now I need to make a pin that's going to go through this hole. I want to find a fine threaded bolt. Come on. Well, that one was jumping out at me like, hey, I want to be there. And it's it's like perfect to find a nut for it. Then another one. They need a little cleanup, but another one. See if we can find any nuts for them. There's one. It's even a castle nut. So we could drill a hole and put a cotter pin in there. That's actually a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. I like that idea. All right. I'll dig for another one of these nuts, and we're going to go with that. If you haven't seen this bad boy, this is my 2x72 belt grinder that I made literally out of scrap metal. I had some machinists basically tell me that there was no way I could do it with the junk I had, and well, I did. So if you want to check that video out, I think there's a couple videos, but they're way early on the channel. Need a battery. All right, there's our part. All right, so we've got the chains installed, got them ready to go. We kind of ground the edge, kind of where it had been wearing into the mast a little bit, just to kind of smooth it out. And then on the actual forklift itself, or the forks, I put the two original ones on the top, and I was able to find two identical ones for the bottom. And so I need to actually get that one pushed on a little bit more. But it's not perfect, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be good enough because it'll be captured in here. And so the only other thing that I want to do, and I want to do it after we get all this test fit, is I kind of want to pull that cylinder out. I was looking at it, and I think the reason this chain probably broke is whenever this leak happened and they did all that welding to it. So I think what happened is this part here twisted, and you can see all the wear marks right there. I believe that the previous chain caught here at some point, lifting something heavy, and snapped. And that was the end of the chain. And I never got it. I never had it. Who knows where it's at. But at this point, I do think, well, number one, this is a bigger roller, which is going to bring the chain out a little bit. It's a bigger chain. It might rub on this. I'm not totally sure yet. But for now, we're going to try it. But we might have to take the whole cylinder out and find a way to twist it so that this is a little bit further back where it should be, and bring this one in a little forward where it also should be. So it's not hard to get it out. We take one hydraulic line off down there, and then up there there's 4 bolts, and the whole mast comes out. But I want to test fit these rollers. I want to test fit the chain so we can adjust the chain length, which we can adjust it with that bolt right there. Yeah, let's get this thing put back together and see how it works. Looking good so far. All right, well, we've got it lifting beautifully. So I spent some time, basically adjusted this bolt to basically even out these cables so that the rollers were contacting at the same time. I think that's going to be a big deal, really going to help it. I need to get some actual forklift truck lubricant. Essentially, it's like this really sticky stuff that you spray in here. I had a little bit. I got some spots, but I didn't have enough. So I want to spray all of the spots where stuff rolls, stuff moves. The inside of the mast in here, I want to get it all the way up, fill that with some oil and whatnot. And I am not having a problem with this chain rubbing on this. So the right thing to do is to take that mast out of there and figure out how to get that thing to sit right in the bottom there. That's the right thing to do. I'm not going to do the right thing. It's lifting way better than it ever did before. So for at the moment, we're going to take the win of getting those rollers fixed, getting that second chain in, getting the upper roller on, and we're just going to go on with a few other things for this machine. I don't use it a lot. It's just kind of one of those ones I want to have ready when I need to lift something heavy, and I don't want to have to worry about snapping this one chain or something else happening with the actual mast itself. So I'm done for tonight. I am going to check out. Maisie and I are going to go home, hang out with the wife and kids, and I really do think this thing is an awesome machine. I enjoy having it around, and really, maybe one day we'll fully restore it. I don't know. For now, let's just make it better. What do you think, Maisie? Should we mess with it? Huh? I'm kind of thinking we leave it alone. Alright, so I pulled this thing apart because I want to address this. This is supposed to be a bearing that literally rides right along the side of the actual forklift mast on the machine and keeps it from moving like this. I'll show you. That bearing would ride right along here, and what that's going to do is basically keep that fork so it is centered going up and down, and they're just completely missing on that thing at all. So let's get that off and see if we can find a replacement. All right, that one's being stubborn, so. I just made a ton of work for myself. That's stripped out. So this thing just fell over on me. Awesome. Let's see if I can get it up by hand. Probably not, but. Boy can dream. Well, that got it off of the actual bearings, so that's good. I do own a bunch of heavy equipment. I could use it to lift this. Probably should. Little more grinding. All right, now we got some new threads. These are 17 mil, so this is probably the first metric thing this machine's ever seen. Let's see if this works. Hopefully that heat really helped. Yeah, baby. It's moving. There we go. Don't touch that. It's really hot. So this piece mostly got destroyed. All right, on the Wheel Loader Forklift, this is like the hold down bolt that we were working so hard to get the other one out. This is the one that we pulled out with the bolt we had to weld in. Well, because of that, this is not going to fit in there anymore. It needs to be this thin, otherwise it will hit the mast as it goes up and down. So I found a couple big old monster cat bolts that are the same threads. We're going to have to take off a little bit of this end. I'd say maybe like 1/2 inch. And then I need to cut the head of it off by a bit. But I want to leave enough that I can still get a wrench on it. I think it's like a 1 7/8 inch wrench. I don't have to get it exactly this thin, but I want to be closer to it. And that should be enough to tighten it up. So the plan will be to use these bearings. These bearings allow you to tighten down on that inner race, and it still doesn't contact the outer race. So I've got 2 of those, and then I got to make a spacer, basically a big washer that will go behind it. So let's start with the bolts. Let's get these clamped up in the mill. I'm going to do both of them at the same time. So instead of just making one, which I could get away with, we're going to go ahead and make both because it's really not that hard to do. And go get the phase converter on and we'll start taking some cuts. All right, here we go. So this other bolt was moving a little bit. I've got the threads clamped in cardboard. I think I'm going to try and find some aluminum, and we're going to clamp it in that. I don't want to mess the threads up, but I also don't want to end up having this bolt move. See what I can find. I have this drawer of miscellaneous aluminum stuff. Let's grab some pieces. Yeah, that'll be good. Good enough. We'll make a couple pieces out of these. That might be stainless. That's aluminum for sure. So are these. This is nice and square. Let's cut a couple pieces of this. I had them together, touching. So I don't think it really matters. But took the cardboard out. Now we just got the aluminum clamping on the steel, so that should be better. All right, I had to move the vise over. I ran out of travel, so here we go. Let's turn this back on. It's not holding real well. Ugh. Hard part is that I want to do them both at the same time so that I can get them to the same exact height without having to measure. All the machinists out there rolling their eyes. I am not a machinist. I'm just a guy with machines. Alright, let's try it next to each other. See if that works. Alright, I decided to go to one bolt. I was getting too much chattering, so we'll just finish them individually. I'm getting the hang of it. Look at that mirror finish. I got the other one mostly done. So I might do one more pass on the top, but I end up going a little bit lower on the bolt. So yeah, we're getting there. I literally have no experience running a mill, so this is all new for me. All the times I use my lathe and my mill, it's always learning. And everybody that says you can't figure it out on your own, well, I don't agree with that at all. Because, look, I have a full machine shop. And I figure stuff out all day, every day. I mess up stuff, I break stuff, I ruin stuff. But man, that's just part of it. So, let's keep going. Get these done. Alright, we got the second bolt cut down like this. Let's just check it. And boom. We are exactly same depth as this one. Perfect. There we have it. I've already cleaned this one up on the 2x72. Let's go do the other one. Alright, so we got the parts we machined. Basically, we just took the head of that bolt off, and then we made a little washer to fit into this little recess here. So, let's give this a test. Come on. The washer should fit right here. And I made that so that this bearing, the actual race, I didn't want the actual rubber portion to touch the actual carriage here, or the actual forks. So now this way, it will only touch the washer and the bolt we have. So perfect. See how it doesn't extend past here, but it pretty much uses every single thread, so that's going to be really strong. And now this is squeezing this bearing, the inner race, against the actual forks, leaving this portion free, which is exactly what we want. So it'll roll and basically ride right along here. Get this other one thrown in. It's raining on me a little bit, but I think we can get this put back together before it starts pouring.
Can I help you? Huh? Can I help you? Huh?
as you can notice, I don't have brakes. So at some point in the future, that's going to be something I definitely want to get fixed.
Maisie.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us on this one. I have a ton more work to do on this machine. I need to do brakes, needs hydraulic hoses. There's some cylinders I want to rebuild. We need to do a full fluid change. We need to do, there's a bunch of miscellaneous stuff, like I still start it with a metal stick. There's no key. You know, miscellaneous stuff to actually make it work right. It has a crab steer, so essentially the front wheels will turn one way, back the other way, and vice versa. And that function works, but the problem is that it literally, they get off track. So all of a sudden you got your fronts going straight, but then the back ones are kind of cocked. And so I think it is the cylinders, the steering cylinders themselves internally are leaking hydraulic fluid past the seals, and I don't know which ones. Maybe it's just the rears, maybe it's the fronts too. None of them are leaking externally, but that's about the only thing I can think of that would cause that. If you know anything about this, this is a Clark, Michigan 35 AWS. 35 AWS is a Michigan wheel loader. I have not seen another forklift like it. This is not a fabrication. Somebody did not create this in their backyard. It was manufactured. It has its own data plate by Clark. The only manual I can find for it is the Michigan 35 AWS Wheel Loader. I have seen those where they'll have a set of forks on the actual loader arm instead of a bucket, but this one is actually a forklift mast, as you've seen. So it's an awesome, really, really, really useful machine. It can go anywhere. It lifts a ton of weight, and now it lifts it evenly, and it's not going to destroy itself. So, you know, I bought it for $600 forever ago. Maybe, I mean, I don't remember when the video I posted on recovering it was, but you can go check that out if you're interested. But I have done almost nothing to it. I probably need to go through the injection pump. I need to do injectors. I need to do, you know, there is one side somebody started to prime gray. I don't know. There's like red splashed paint on the back end of the other side, like blood. I don't know. Maybe the machine's got in a fight. I don't really know what happened there. I don't care. I just think It's an awesome machine, and I really used it a lot moving stuff around here at the yard. Well, she's a smoky old girl, but it sure does lift right now. It goes up and down beautifully, getting that mast greased. A lot of the squeaking went away because the bearings and things aren't rubbing so much on the mast. It's kind of being lubricated, obviously, by the mast grease. And then getting that chain oiled is probably definitely a good thing too. So awesome having that ready. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I truly hope you enjoyed the process of getting that mast working a little bit better than it ever has been, at least since I've owned it. Said it many times, I need to do a ton more to that machine, but it is just so dang loyal. It just keeps going and going and going. So if you enjoyed the video working on that machine, please let me know in the comments so that I know whether or not you want to see the additional work that needs to be done to that machine and what else I need to do to it. It really does help me kind of judge what you guys want to see, because at the end of the day, that's kind of the point. Without your viewing my videos, there would be no channel. So I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to every one of you for watching the videos. I truly appreciate your support. I appreciate the comments, your help in the comments, your suggestions and things. It is absolutely a big deal. So thank you, as always, for everything you guys have done for me, and I'll keep making great content for you. So coming up soon, we've got some really, really cool projects, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it. So if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing that. That really does help the channel. But as always, just the fact that you watch the videos is the biggest support. So thank you from my family to yours. You guys and your family, take it easy.